The morning sky over Colorado Springs looked normal until the shadows appeared. Colonel Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of Peterson Space Force Base, watching what his radar operators called impossible contacts. The objects were too big and moving too fast to be anything humans had built. Jake picked up his radio and called the command center. "This is Morrison. I need General Carter on the line right now," he said into the device. The response came quickly. General Paul Carter's voice crackled through the speaker with the kind of tension Jake had never heard before. "Jake, we have 17 objects the size of football stadiums coming down through the atmosphere. They're not responding to any communication. Attempts. Dr. Grant is trying to figure out what they want, but so far nothing." Jake looked up again and saw the first ship break through the clouds. It was massive and black, with strange lights running along its sides. The ship moved without any sound and seemed to ignore all the laws of physics Jake knew. More ships followed until the sky was full of them. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the primitive planet below. His scaled hands moved across the control panels as he reviewed the invasion plan. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 17 worlds in the past 50 cycles, and this one would be no different. The inhabitants called themselves humans, and their technology was centuries behind Zephyrian standards. "Begin the demonstration attack," Vextar ordered his weapons officer. Energy beams shot down from the ships and struck military bases around the planet. The beams cut through human structures like they were made of paper. Vextar watched with satisfaction as the humans' primitive aircraft tried to respond. Jake saw the first energy beam hit the mountain base just north of his position. The entire facility disappeared in a flash of blue light. His communication systems lit up with reports from around the world. London was under attack. Tokyo was burning. Sydney had gone dark. "All units, this is Morrison," Jake spoke into his radio. "Execute Defense Plan Alpha. Get every available aircraft in the air and start evacuating civilian populations." Dr. Lisa Grant worked frantically in her laboratory, trying to establish communication with the alien ships. She had spent her entire career studying the possibility of extraterrestrial life, and now that it was here, she felt completely unprepared. Her radio equipment picked up strange signals from the ships, but nothing she could translate. "Lisa, this is Carter." The general's voice came through her headset. "Any luck with communication?" "Nothing yet, sir. Their signals are using frequencies and patterns I've never seen before. It's like trying to translate a language that uses colors instead of sounds." The first wave of human fighters reached the alien ships within an hour of the initial attack. Captain Amy Johnson watched from her position at the Marine base in San Diego as F-35 jets fired missiles at the massive vessels. The missiles struck the ships but seemed to have no effect at all. Blue shields flickered around each vessel and absorbed every impact. "They have some kind of defensive system," Amy reported to her commanding officer. "Our weapons aren't even scratching them." The alien response was swift and overwhelming. Energy weapons fired from the ships and destroyed half the attacking aircraft in seconds. The remaining pilots retreated, but more ships were already moving into position over major population centers. Professor Alex Turner sat in his office at MIT watching news reports of the attacks. As a quantum physicist, he understood that the aliens were using technology that shouldn't be possible according to human science. Their ships moved without visible propulsion, and their weapons seemed to create energy from nothing. Alex grabbed his phone and called every physicist he knew. If humanity was going to survive this, they needed to understand how the alien technology worked. Within hours, he had assembled a team of the brightest minds from universities around the world. The aliens began landing troops by the end of the first day. Tall beings in powered armor emerged from smaller ships and began occupying major cities. They moved with military precision and seemed to have detailed knowledge of human infrastructure. Jake found himself commanding a hastily organized resistance from the ruins of Denver. The aliens had destroyed the city's government center and most of its military installations. Thousands of civilians were fleeing into the mountains, but the aliens seemed content to let them go. "They're not trying to kill everyone," Jake observed to his staff. "They want the planet intact." General Carter had established a temporary command post in an abandoned mine shaft in Nevada. Reports came in from around the world describing the same pattern. The aliens would destroy military targets and government buildings, but largely ignored civilian populations unless they fought back. "It's like they've done this before," Carter told his advisors. "They know exactly how to break our command structure without destroying the resources they want." Dr. Grant finally made a breakthrough on the second day when she detected a pattern in the alien signals. They seemed to be broadcasting surrender terms in multiple Earth languages. The message was simple: submit to Zephyrian authority and human. Civilization would be allowed to continue under alien guidance. The world's leaders held emergency meetings, but communication was difficult with most satellite networks destroyed. Some nations wanted to negotiate while others prepared for extended resistance. Jake listened to the debates on his emergency radio and felt his anger growing. "They think we'll just give up," he said to Amy, who had arrived with a group of Marine survivors. "They obviously don't know humans very well." 3 weeks after the invasion began, Admiral Vextar stared at reports that made no sense. The human military had been crushed in the first day of fighting. Their governments had fallen, and their communication networks were destroyed. According to every previous conquest, this species should have surrendered by now. Instead, small groups of humans continued attacking Zephyrian positions every single day. They used primitive weapons and crude tactics, but they never stopped coming. Vexatar had commanded invasions of 14 different species, and none of them had behaved this way. Sergeant Danny Rodriguez crouched in the ruins of what used to be downtown Los Angeles. His unit consisted of 12 humans who had never worked together before the invasion. They had a police officer, 2 mechanics, a teacher, a nurse, and several people whose jobs no longer mattered in this new world. Danny watched the alien patrol moving through the rubble below his position. The creatures were tall and moved in perfect formation. Their armor looked advanced, but Danny had learned something important over the past few weeks. The aliens expected their enemies to behave in predictable ways. "Remember what we practiced," Danny whispered to his team. "Wait for my signal, then hit them from 3 directions at once." The aliens had established a pattern for their patrols. They moved the same routes at the same times every day. They used the same communication frequencies and responded to threats in the same manner. Danny and his people had been watching and learning. When the patrol reached the intersection, Danny gave his signal. Explosives hidden in the rubble detonated simultaneously. The aliens' shields protected them from the worst of the blast, but the surprise attack disrupted their formation. Human fighters emerged from hiding spots the aliens had not detected and opened fire with modified weapons. Captain Amy Johnson had spent 2 weeks studying alien biology using corpses recovered from previous battles. Working with Dr. Lisa Grant, she had made a disturbing discovery. The Zephyrians were not adapted to Earth's environment at all. Their immune systems could not handle common bacteria that every human carried naturally. "We've been thinking about this wrong," Amy explained to the resistance leaders gathered in an abandoned subway tunnel. "We don't need to outfight them with superior weapons. We just need to expose them to things their bodies can't handle." Amy had developed a simple biological weapon using nothing more than water from earth rivers and soil from local farms. When distributed as an aerosol, the mixture caused severe illness in Zephyrian troops. Their advanced medical technology could treat the symptoms, but it took time and resources. Professor Alex Turner worked day and night in a hidden laboratory trying to understand captured alien equipment. The devices used principles that human science was only beginning to explore, but Alex had made progress. He discovered that Zephyrian technology relied heavily on automated systems that made decisions without intelligent oversight. "Their computers are smarter than ours, but they're also more limited," Alex explained to General Carter during a secret meeting. They can only respond to situations they've been programmed to handle. When we do something completely unexpected, their systems have to stop and ask for instructions. Alex had successfully modified several pieces of alien equipment by introducing random elements that confused their programming. A captured energy weapon could be made to overload by feeding it irregular power fluctuations. A communication device could be turned into a jamming system by reversing its signal patterns. The Zephyrian High Command held emergency sessions to discuss the human problem. Emperor Kethmore himself demanded explanations for why a primitive species was causing so much trouble. Admiral Vextar tried to explain, but the concepts were difficult to translate. "They do not fight like any species we have encountered before," Vextar reported. "They do not have a unified command structure. They do not follow predictable tactical patterns. When we destroy one group, 3 more appear using completely different methods." The Emperor's response was to send additional troops, but Vextar knew this would not solve the fundamental problem. The humans seemed to view the invasion not as a disaster, but as a learning opportunity. Every defeat taught them something new about Zephyrian weaknesses. Jake Morrison had established a network of resistance cells across the American continent. Each group operated independently, but shared information through a communication system based on old ham radio technology. The aliens could intercept these transmissions, but they were too numerous and too random to effectively suppress. "The key is to never give them a target they can understand," Jake explained to new recruits. "Don't try to beat them at their own game. Make them play ours instead." Human tactics evolved rapidly as word spread about successful attacks. A group in Chicago discovered that alien vehicles could be disabled by throwing metal debris into their engines. Fighters in New York learned that the aliens' night vision systems could be overwhelmed by reflecting sunlight off broken glass. Dr. Grant finally achieved two-way communication with captured Zephyrian prisoners. What she learned was both encouraging and terrifying. The aliens were confused by human behavior because no species in their experience had continued fighting after their governments fell. "They keep asking me when our leaders will surrender," Grant reported to the resistance commanders. "I try to explain that we don't need leaders to tell us to fight for our own planet, but they don't understand the concept." The captured aliens revealed that the Zephyrian Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds using the same basic strategy. Destroy the government and military, then wait for surrender. Most species gave up within days when faced with overwhelming technological superiority. Kate Williams had been an automotive engineer before the invasion. Now she worked in a hidden factory converting civilian vehicles into weapons platforms. Her team had learned to combine human manufacturing techniques with salvaged alien components. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's also incredibly specialized, Kate explained while showing off a modified pickup truck. "Our stuff is simpler, but it's designed to work under any conditions." Kate's hybrid vehicles could operate in environments that disabled alien equipment. They used mechanical systems instead of computers and could be repaired with basic tools. Most importantly, they could be built quickly using materials found anywhere. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Brooks had taken his submarine underwater when the invasion began. Now he used it to attack alien facilities along the coast. The aliens seem to have no effective countermeasures for underwater operations. They control the air and the land, but they forgot about the oceans, Ryan reported to other naval units, hiding around the world. "We can move freely down here and hit them where they don't expect it." Ryan's submarine had successfully destroyed 3 alien water processing plants. The attacks forced the aliens to divert resources to underwater defense, but they had never designed their equipment for aquatic warfare. By the end of the first month, the Zephyrian invasion force was requesting reinforcements. What should have been a simple conquest was turning into a prolonged occupation that drained resources from other parts of the empire. 6 months into the occupation, Kate Williams stood in her underground factory watching the assembly line produce humanity's first hybrid fighter aircraft. The sleek vessels combined human engineering principles with alien technology in ways that violated every rule of Zephyrian design philosophy. The aliens build everything to exact specifications, Kate explained to the technicians working on the production line. Every component has one purpose and fits in one specific place. But human engineering has always been about making things work, even when they shouldn't. The hybrid fighters used human redundancy systems alongside alien power sources. If one system failed, 3 others could take over its function. The aliens had never encountered technology designed to operate while broken. Their weapons targeting systems couldn't predict the behavior of aircraft that flew differently every time they took damage. Test pilot Maria Gonzalez climbed into the cockpit of the newest fighter design. She had been flying since she was 16 years old and had adapted quickly to alien flight systems. The hybrid controls felt familiar despite incorporating technology from another world. "Tower, this is Falcon 1 requesting permission for combat trial," Maria said into her headset. The response came from Jake Morrison, who now coordinated all Resistance air operations. "Permission granted, Falcon 1. Remember, these things don't fly like anything you've used before. Trust the human systems when the alien ones stop making sense." Maria launched from the hidden runway and immediately felt the difference. The alien propulsion system provided incredible acceleration, but the human flight controls gave her the flexibility to change direction in ways no Zephyrian pilot would attempt. She flew toward the alien patrol ships with confidence. Admiral Vextar reviewed another disturbing report from his tactical analysts. The humans had somehow learned to modify captured Zephyrian equipment to work in ways that defied its original programming. Their hybrid technology shouldn't function according to all known engineering principles, yet it was proving remarkably effective. "How is this possible?" Vextar demanded from his chief engineer. The response only increased his frustration. "Sir, the humans seem to view our technology as a starting point rather than a finished product. They add their own components and change the programming without understanding how the systems are supposed to work. By all logic, their modifications should cause cascading failures, but instead, they create new capabilities." Dr. Lisa Grant had made another breakthrough in her communication with Zephyrian prisoners. She learned that the alien empire had strict rules about technology sharing between species. Each conquered world was given only the minimum equipment necessary for its assigned function in the empire. "They've never dealt with a species that steals technology and improves it during active combat," Grant reported to the Resistance leadership. Every other conquest involved capturing existing technology intact, then teaching the conquered population how to use it properly. The humans were doing something unprecedented. They were studying alien technology while fighting the aliens who created it. Every captured device was immediately disassembled and understood. Every weakness was cataloged and exploited. Farmer Joe Miller had transformed his agricultural knowledge into a supply network that kept the Resistance functioning. His understanding of soil composition and weather patterns allowed him to hide supply caches that alien sensors could not detect. "The trick is to work with the land instead of against it," Joe explained to Resistance quartermasters. "These aliens think in straight lines and right angles. Nature doesn't work that way, and neither do we." Joe's network used natural cave systems and underground rivers to move supplies across continents. The aliens could track vehicles and aircraft, but they had no experience with logistics systems based on understanding local geography. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Brooks had expanded his underwater operations to include modified civilian submarines. His fleet now included research vessels, pleasure boats, and commercial fishing ships, all converted for military use. "The aliens still don't understand that humans can turn anything into a weapon," Ryan observed while planning another coastal raid. "They keep looking for traditional military assets while we attack them with fishing boats and pleasure craft." Ryan's improvised fleet had destroyed dozens of alien facilities by approaching underwater from directions the aliens never monitored. Each successful attack forced them to spread their defenses thinner. Commander Steve Parker led the first successful boarding action against a Zephyrian ship using nothing more than modified spacesuits and magnetic grapples. His team had studied alien ship construction and identified weak points in their hull design. Their ships are built for efficiency, not durability, Steve explained during the mission briefing. They have powerful shields but weak physical armor. Once we get past the shields, we can cut through their hulls with basic tools. The boarding action succeeded because the aliens had never designed their ships to repel boarders. Their internal security systems were meant to prevent unauthorized access through electronic means, not physical intrusion. Professor Alex Turner had assembled an international team of scientists working to understand the theoretical principles behind alien technology. Their research was revealing fundamental flaws in Zephyrian engineering philosophy. They've advanced so far technologically that they've forgotten basic engineering principles, Alex explained during a secret conference. Their systems are incredibly sophisticated, but they lack the robust design features that human technology has always required. Alex's team had identified critical vulnerabilities in alien infrastructure. Their power systems could be overloaded by introducing irregular frequencies. Their communication networks could be disrupted by broadcasting random signals on specific wavelengths. Dr. Monica Davis worked with computer programmers from around the world to develop a virus that could infiltrate alien computer systems. The virus didn't try to destroy alien programs, but instead forced them to operate outside their design parameters. Their artificial intelligence is more advanced than ours, but it's also more rigid, Monica explained to her programming team. Our virus makes their computers ask questions they weren't programmed to handle. The systems don't crash, they just get confused and stop working efficiently. The virus spread through alien networks whenever humans made contact with their technology. Each infected system would then spread the virus to connected systems. The aliens couldn't stop the spread without shutting down their entire technological infrastructure. Helen Foster had been a corporate executive before the invasion. Now she led a resistance movement that spanned multiple continents. Her business experience proved invaluable in organizing disparate groups into an effective fighting force. The aliens expect us to have a traditional command structure they can target and destroy, Helen explained to regional commanders. Instead, we operate like a network of independent businesses all working toward the same goal. Helen's organizational model allowed the resistance to adapt quickly to changing conditions. Local commanders could make decisions without waiting for orders from higher authority. When one group was destroyed, others could continue operating without disruption. Captain Amy Johnson had perfected her biological warfare techniques and was now training teams around the world to implement them. The weapons were simple enough to produce in any basic laboratory, but effective enough to force alien troops to retreat from contaminated areas. We're not trying to commit genocide, Amy emphasized during training sessions. We're just making it too expensive for them to maintain their occupation. The biological weapons created quarantine zones that the aliens couldn't enter without extensive protective equipment. These zones became safe havens for human civilians and staging areas for resistance operations. 1 year after the invasion began, the balance of power on Earth had shifted dramatically. Commander Steve Parker stood on the bridge of a captured Zephyrian frigate that now flew under human command. His crew of 37 humans had learned to operate alien technology through trial and error and determination. Navigation. This is Parker, Steve called to his helm officer. Set course for the alien supply depot in Sector 7. Engineering, I need maximum power to the hybrid drive systems. The captured ship moved through space using a combination of original Zephyrian technology and human modifications. Steve's engineering team had learned that alien ships were designed to operate in perfect conditions with regular maintenance. Human ships were designed to keep working no matter what happened to them. Their ships are faster and more powerful than anything we ever built, Chief Engineer Tony Martinez explained to the crew. But they break down if you look at them wrong. Our modifications make them less efficient but a lot more reliable. The supply depot Steve was approaching had been considered impregnable when the aliens built it. It was protected by energy shields and automated defense systems that could destroy any known weapon. But the humans weren't using known weapons anymore. Dr. Monica Davis watched from Earth as her computer virus spread through another alien facility. The virus had evolved over the past months as it encountered different types of Zephyrian technology. Each new version was more sophisticated and harder to detect. Their security systems keep getting better, but so does our virus, Monica reported, to the Resistance Command. The difference is that our virus learns from every encounter while their security systems just follow the same patterns. The latest version of the virus didn't attack alien computers directly. Instead, it made them operate less efficiently by introducing tiny delays and errors into routine operations. The effect was subtle but cumulative. Alien facilities that had been infected ran 30% slower than normal. Engineer Laura Thompson had revolutionized human industrial capacity by converting civilian factories to produce military equipment. Her assembly lines now produced hybrid fighters faster than the aliens could shoot them down. Mass production was always humanity's secret weapon, Laura explained to visiting resistance leaders. The aliens build small numbers of perfect machines. We build large numbers of good-enough machines. Laura's factories used simplified designs that could be manufactured quickly with minimal training. A hybrid fighter took 3 days to build compared to months for equivalent alien craft. When the aliens destroyed one human factory, 3 more were already under construction. Captain Nick Roberts led human space forces using tactics that no military academy had ever taught. His fleet consisted of captured alien ships, converted, civilian spacecraft, and hybrid vessels that shouldn't have been able to fly. The combination proved devastatingly effective. The aliens fight by the book, Nick explained to his squadron commanders. They have procedures for every situation and they follow them exactly. We win by creating situations their book doesn't cover. Nick's latest mission involved attacking an alien fleet using garbage scows converted into missile platforms. The aliens had defensive systems designed to stop military threats, but they weren't programmed to recognize improvised weapons platforms. Admiral Vextar found himself in an impossible position. His superiors demanded results, but every tactical success came at an unacceptable cost. The humans had turned Earth into a trap that consumed Zephyrian resources without offering any strategic value. The occupation is unsustainable, Vextar reported to the High Command. We control the major population centers, but the humans control everything else. Every day we remain here costs more than we can gain from this world. The Admiral's reports painted a picture of military nightmare. Human resistance had not decreased over time as expected. Instead, it had grown stronger and more sophisticated. The aliens faced an enemy that learned from every defeat and improved after every setback. Emperor Kethmore himself decided to inspect the Earth campaign. He traveled to the invasion fleet in his personal warship accompanied by the elite Imperial Guard. The Emperor had conquered personally 17 worlds and had never encountered serious resistance. "Show me these troublesome humans," the Emperor commanded when he arrived. Admiral Vextar reluctantly arranged a demonstration mission designed to show human military capabilities. Jake Morrison coordinated the human response to the Emperor's visit. Intelligence reports indicated that the most important alien leader had arrived in system. The Resistance would have only one chance to make an impression. "Every available unit will participate in this operation," Jake announced during the global Resistance briefing. "We need to show them that attacking Earth was the biggest mistake their empire ever made." The demonstration began when human forces simultaneously attacked alien positions on 6 continents. Fighter squadrons led by Maria Gonzalez engaged alien aircraft using tactics that changed faster than the aliens could adapt. Ground forces commanded by Danny Rodriguez emerged from hiding to assault alien bases that had been considered secure. Emperor Kethmore watched the battle reports with growing disbelief. The humans were not simply fighting back, they were winning. Their improvised weapons were destroying advanced alien equipment. Their hybrid aircraft were outmaneuvering Zephyrian fighters. Their captured ships were defeating vessels designed by the finest engineers in the Empire. "This is impossible," the Emperor declared. "How can a primitive species achieve tactical superiority over our forces?" Admiral Vextar had been asking himself the same question for months. The answer was disturbing to contemplate. The humans were not primitive at all. They were simply different from any species the Empire had encountered. Helen Foster's resistance network had grown into a shadow government that operated more efficiently than many legitimate nations. Her organization could coordinate operations across continents while maintaining security that alien intelligence services could not penetrate. "We learned everything we know about organization from fighting each other," Helen explained to Dr. Grant during one of their planning sessions. "Human military history is thousands of years of learning how to fight smarter enemies with better equipment." The resistance had become something unprecedented in Zephyrian experience. It was a military force that grew stronger under pressure and more creative when faced with impossible odds. Every alien victory taught the humans something new about how to fight aliens. Professor Alex Turner's research team had reverse-engineered enough alien technology to begin producing improved versions. Human engineering principles applied to alien science created devices that worked better than the originals. "We don't just copy their technology," Alex explained to engineers working on the latest projects. "We fixed the design flaws they never bothered to address." The improved alien technology incorporated human concepts like redundancy, modularity, and field maintenance. The results were devices that performed better and lasted longer than anything in the Zephyrian arsenal. Captain Amy Johnson had expanded her biological warfare program to include psychological operations. Her teams now broadcast messages to alien troops explaining how Earth's environment was slowly killing them. The messages were technically accurate and had a devastating effect on alien morale. "The truth is our best weapon," Amy told her propaganda teams. "Their own medical reports prove that long-term exposure to Earth conditions causes permanent health problems. We're just making sure every alien soldier knows what their leaders are doing to them." The psychological warfare campaign created the first recorded instances of desertion in Zephyrian military history. Alien soldiers began refusing orders to enter contaminated areas or to participate in extended surface operations. 2 years after the invasion, Emperor Kethmore stood in his command chamber, staring at reports that challenged everything he believed about warfare and conquest. The Earth campaign had become a disaster that threatened the stability of the entire Zephyrian Empire. "How many ships have we lost this month?" the Emperor asked his military advisors. The answer came reluctantly from Admiral Vextar. 37 vessels, sir. The humans are using our own ships against us now. They capture damaged vessels, then modify them in ways that make them superior to our original designs." Captain Nick Roberts led the largest human space fleet in history. His armada consisted of 200 captured alien ships, 50 converted civilian spacecraft, and 70 hybrid vessels built in Laura Thompson's factories. The fleet moved through space like a swarm of angry insects. "Remember what we learned about alien tactics," Nick broadcast to his squadron leaders. "They expect us to fight like they do. Instead, we're going to fight like humans." Nick's battle plan involved simultaneous attacks from 12 different directions using weapons and tactics the aliens had never encountered. His ships would work together while maintaining individual initiative. Each captain was authorized to improvise based on battlefield conditions. The alien fleet that met Nick's force was larger and more heavily armed, but it fought according to rigid tactical doctrines. When the human attack began, the alien commanders found themselves facing scenarios their training had never covered. Engineer Laura Thompson had accomplished something the aliens thought impossible. Her factories were now producing technology that surpassed original Zephyrian designs. Human manufacturing techniques combined with alien science created devices that worked better than anything the Empire had ever built. "The secret is that we don't try to build perfect machines," Laura explained to visitors from the European resistance. "We build machines that work perfectly under imperfect conditions." Laura's latest creation was a hybrid power source that generated twice the energy of equivalent alien devices while weighing half as much. The design violated several principles of Zephyrian engineering, but it worked flawlessly in human hands. Dr. Monica Davis had achieved total penetration of alien computer networks. Her virus now infected every Zephyrian system on Earth and was spreading to ships throughout the local fleet. The aliens could not stop the infection without abandoning their technology entirely. Their computers are more advanced than ours, but they're also more vulnerable, Monica reported to the global resistance leadership. They never designed their systems to operate in a hostile environment. The virus had evolved into something resembling a digital life form. It adapted to new defenses faster than the aliens could implement them. Each infected system became a breeding ground for new versions that were harder to detect and remove. Farmer Joe Miller had expanded his supply network to include captured alien logistics systems. His organization could now move equipment and personnel across continents faster than the aliens could track them. The key was understanding that human logistics had always been about improvisation. We use their own supply lines against them, Joe explained to Resistance quartermasters. Their systems are designed to move specific items to predetermined locations. Our systems are designed to move anything anywhere. Joe's network had successfully infiltrated alien supply depots and was redirecting their resources to human forces. The aliens were unknowingly supplying the resistance that was defeating them. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Brooks commanded an underwater fleet that had grown to include submarines from 12 different nations. His vessels moved freely through Earth's oceans while alien forces remained trapped on the surface. They still don't understand that controlling the air and land means nothing if you can't control the water, Ryan observed while planning another coastal assault. 70% of this planet is ocean and we own all of it. Ryan's submarine fleet had established underwater bases that the aliens could not detect or attack. These facilities served as staging areas for operations that struck deep into alien-controlled territory. Commander Steve Parker had learned to modify captured alien warships so extensively that they barely resembled their original designs. His engineering teams added human components and systems that made the vessels more capable than when they left Zephyrian shipyards. "We don't restore these ships," Steve explained to his crew. "We improve them. By the time we're finished, they're better than anything the aliens ever built." Steve's flagship now mounted weapons that used human and alien technology in combination. The hybrid systems could penetrate any known defense and were powered by energy sources that never needed refueling. Admiral Vextar faced a strategic situation that no Zephyrian commander had ever confronted. His forces were trapped on a hostile world, fighting an enemy that grew stronger with each passing day. Retreat seemed impossible, but victory was clearly unattainable. "The humans have turned our own advantages against us," Vextar reported during another emergency conference with the High Command. "They use our technology better than we do. They fight with our weapons more effectively than our own soldiers." The Admiral's latest intelligence reports painted a picture of total military reversal. Human forces now controlled orbital space around Earth. Their hybrid technology was superior to original Zephyrian designs. Their tactics had evolved beyond anything in Imperial military doctrine. Colonel Jake Morrison coordinated resistance operations from a command center built inside a captured alien facility. His staff included former military officers from dozens of countries working alongside civilian experts who had become accomplished warriors. "We've learned everything we need to know about fighting aliens," Jake announced during the daily briefing. "Now it's time to teach them what happens when they pick a fight with humans." Jake's intelligence indicated that the alien emperor himself was considering direct intervention in the Earth campaign. The resistance would be ready to show the supreme leader of the Zephyrian Empire exactly why his forces had failed. Dr. Lisa Grant had achieved something unprecedented in the history of galactic warfare. She had successfully turned captured alien soldiers into willing sources of intelligence about their own empire. The key was demonstrating that humans fought for principles rather than conquest. "They're beginning to understand that we're not fighting to destroy their species," Grant explained to resistance interrogators. "We're fighting to protect our own world. That's a concept their empire has never encountered." several captured aliens, had actually volunteered to help human forces. They provided technical information about alien weaknesses and tactical doctrine. Some even offered to fight alongside human soldiers against their former comrades. Helen Foster's resistance organization had evolved into a functioning government that administered liberated territories more effectively than the alien occupation ever had. Her network provided services and maintained order without the oppressive control methods the aliens used. "We're not just fighting to drive them off our planet," Helen explained to civilian administrators. "We're proving that humans can govern themselves better than any alien empire ever could." Helen's government had established diplomatic contact with other species under Zephyrian rule. Reports were spreading throughout the empire about a world where indigenous inhabitants had successfully resisted conquest. Professor Alex Turner's research had revealed the fundamental weakness of the Zephyrian Empire. Their technology was so advanced that they had forgotten how to adapt to unexpected situations. Human science was primitive, but flexible enough to find solutions the aliens couldn't imagine. "They've spent centuries perfecting the same basic approaches," Alex explained to his international research team. "We've spent our entire history learning new ways to solve old problems." Alex's team had developed countermeasures for every type of alien weapon and defense system. Human technology might be less sophisticated, but it was infinitely more adaptable. The final confrontation began when Emperor Kethmore made the decision that would determine the fate of two civilizations. Standing in his throne room aboard the massive Imperial flagship, he gave the order that committed the full military might of the Zephyrian Empire to conquering one small blue planet. "Deploy the entire reserve fleet," the Emperor commanded. "Bring every available ship to this system. We will crush these humans completely, or we will lose credibility throughout the Empire." Colonel Jake Morrison received the intelligence report while standing in the command center that had once been the Pentagon. His staff worked frantically to coordinate the global response as alien reinforcements poured into Earth's solar system. "Every resistance cell on the planet is reporting in," Jake announced to the assembled commanders. "We have 3,000 combat groups ready to execute simultaneous operations. The aliens want to see what humans can do when we're really trying." Fighter pilot Maria Gonzalez led a squadron of hybrid aircraft toward the massive alien fleet gathering beyond Earth's moon. Her planes looked like nothing any military had ever produced, but they flew with the precision of birds and struck with the fury of lightning. "All squadrons, this is Maria," she broadcast on the resistance frequency. "Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves today. We're fighting to show the entire galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity." Maria's aircraft dove toward the dust alien ships using flight patterns that violated every rule of military aviation. Her pilots twisted through defensive fire while delivering attacks that no alien tactical computer could predict or counter. Engineer Laura Thompson watched from her hidden factory as the production lines worked at maximum capacity. Her workers were producing hybrid weapons and equipment faster than the aliens could destroy them. Every minute of the battle gave her teams time to build more tools of war. "The aliens still don't understand human manufacturing," Laura explained to her supervisors. "They think in terms of individual perfect machines. We think in terms of endless streams of good enough machines." The factory had been running continuously for 6 months, producing everything the resistance needed. Laura's designs were so simple that workers could learn to build them in hours. The aliens couldn't target her facilities fast enough to stop production. Dr. Monica Davis initiated the final version of her computer virus as alien ships approached Earth. The digital weapon had evolved far beyond its original programming and now controlled significant portions of the Zephyrian technology network. "The virus is activating in all infected systems," Monica reported to Resistance Command. "Their computers are about to discover what happens when human creativity meets alien technology." Throughout the alien fleet, computer systems began operating in ways their designers never intended. Weapons turned on each other. Navigation systems calculated impossible courses. Communication networks broadcast random signals that jammed their own frequencies. Captain Nick Roberts commanded the human space fleet from the bridge of his captured flagship. His armada moved to intercept the alien reinforcements using battle tactics that combined the best of human military tradition with alien technology. "All ships, this is Nick," he broadcast to his captains. "Today we show them that humans don't just fight to survive. We fight to win." Nick's fleet attacked the alien formation from 17 different directions simultaneously. Each human captain commanded a ship that had been modified beyond recognition. The vessels fought with the coordination of a hive mind, but retained the individual initiative that made human tactics unpredictable. Admiral Vextar watched his sensors in disbelief as human forces engaged the Imperial fleet on equal terms. The primitive species that should have surrendered 2 years ago was now matching the finest military technology in the galaxy. "Sir, the humans are using our own ships against us," his tactical officer reported. "Their modifications have made our vessels more effective than our original designs." Vextar realized that the Zephyrian Empire faced something it had never encountered before. The humans were not just resisting conquest, they were demonstrating superiority in the very areas where the Empire claimed to be supreme. Commander Steve Parker led a boarding action against the Emperor's flagship using an assault team equipped with hybrid weapons and armor. His soldiers moved through the alien ship like they owned it, defeating security systems that had protected Zephyrian royalty for centuries. "Remember what we learned about alien ship design," Steve told his team as they fought through the vessel's corridors. "They build everything for efficiency, not for defense. Their own ships are their biggest weakness." Steve's team reached the Emperor's throne room after fighting through defenders who couldn't adapt to human tactics. The Imperial Guards followed standard procedures, while the humans improvised solutions to problems the aliens had never imagined. Emperor Kethmore faced human soldiers in his own command center and realized that his empire had made a fundamental miscalculation. These beings were not primitive at all. They were simply different in ways that made traditional conquest impossible. "Your Majesty," Steve said, as his team secured the throne room, "Dr. Grant would like to speak with you about surrender terms." Dr. Lisa Grant entered the Imperial throne room accompanied by representatives of the unified Earth government. She had spent 2 years learning to communicate with aliens, and now she would use that knowledge to end the war. "Emperor Kethmore," Grant began in carefully translated Zephyrian, "we are prepared to discuss the terms under which your forces will withdraw from our system." The Emperor looked around his captured flagship and realized that continuing the war would destroy his empire. The humans had proven they could defeat Zephyrian forces using the aliens' own technology. They had turned a simple conquest into a disaster that threatened the stability of the entire Imperial structure. "What terms do you propose?" the Emperor asked through his translation device. Helen Foster stepped forward as the elected representative of Free Earth. Her presence in the alien throne room represented the ultimate victory of human determination over technological superiority. "Complete withdrawal of all Zephyrian forces from our solar system," Helen stated clearly. "Recognition of Earth as an independent world. Establishment of a quarantine zone around our system that your ships will not enter." The Emperor considered the demands while reports came in from throughout his fleet. Human forces had captured or destroyed 60% of his ships. The survivors were trapped in a system where every tactical advantage belonged to the enemy. "And if we refuse?" the big Emperor asked. Jake Morrison answered from his position near the throne room entrance. "Then we continue fighting until every alien ship in our system is either captured or destroyed. We've learned everything we need to know about your technology. The war will end with human victory either way." Professor Alex Turner had prepared a demonstration of human technological achievement for this moment. He activated a device that projected holographic displays showing hybrid human-alien technology that surpassed anything the Empire had ever created. "Your technology is impressive," Alex explained to the Emperor. But human engineering principles make it better. We can build ships that are faster than yours and weapons that are more powerful. The question is whether you want to fight us or trade with us. Emperor Kethmore made the decision that saved his empire from destruction. He formally agreed to Earth's terms and ordered the complete withdrawal of all Zephyrian forces from human space. As the alien fleet departed Earth, Dr. Grant transmitted a message that would spread throughout the galaxy. The broadcast described how a supposedly primitive species had defeated the most advanced military force in known space. "This is Earth calling all worlds under Zephyrian rule," Grant announced. "We have proven that technological superiority means nothing against a species that refuses to accept defeat. Freedom is possible for any world that chooses to fight for it." The Zephyrian Empire placed a warning beacon at the edge of Earth's solar system. The message was simple and direct. This system contains beings who grow stronger through adversity and more dangerous when threatened. Approach with extreme caution. Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of the rebuilt Peterson Space Force base, watching the last alien ships disappear into hyperspace. Earth had survived its first interstellar war and emerged stronger than ever before. "The aliens came here expecting to conquer a primitive world," Jake said to the assembled human leaders. "Instead, they learned why some planets should never be invaded." Human civilization had been transformed by the war but not broken by it. The hybrid technology developed during the Resistance would take humanity to the stars as equals rather than subjects. The species that had once seemed helplessly outgunned now possessed weapons and ships that surpassed anything in the galaxy. The victory belonged not to superior technology or overwhelming firepower, but to the human spirit that refused to surrender. When the odds were impossible, Earth had become the last planet any wise alien empire would ever consider conquering.